Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Marvel's Eternals' final minutes leave the face of the planet and the cosmos beyond changed forever in the MCU. Between half the Eternals blasting off again, and the other half letting sexy space Jesus take the wheel. But this ending was actually one of many originally shot for the Eternals' final act. Somehow, 2 hours and 37 minutes was the thin version of something. So I am going to break down this Eternals alternate ending.
I'd be up for a director's
cut.
cut.
Scenes we know about,
I'd be up for it.
Including a Thanos flashback that might have given viewers a way deeper understanding of this film. Eternals' theatrical ending features Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo being summoned by Arishem for stopping the emergence of Tiamat.
Right.
The Eternal Eros greets Thena, Makkari, and Druig on the Domo and says that he knows where to find Cersei, but instead of ending on the perfectly pleasant Harry Styles grin, they actually shot an extended version of this final scene. According to Makkari actor Lauren Ridloff in a roundtable interview with Entertainment Weekly, Eros actually then sits down with these Eternals and they all communicate with the celestial Arishem with their eyes closed. So in the way Ajak and Cersei close their eyes to commune with Arishem, now Eros is doing the same, using presumably a Unimind type function to link Makkari, Thena, and Druig on that conference call. And this is a major confirmation of what exactly Eros' relationship with the Celestials is. Before, it wasn't entirely clear which Celestial Eros was in communication with, Arishem or a different Celestial who might be in conflict with Arishem, either a philosophical dispute or a more violent conflict. But now we know that Eros was going to communicate with Arishem using his celestial Bluetooth sphere, meaning it was Arishem who installed Eros and potentially Thanos and their father Alars on the planet Titan. And this alternate ending also tells us that Eros does not fear Arishem. Like, he has no qualms about linking with Arishem to track Arishem's location or to try to talk him out of prosecuting Cersei. It means that Eros enjoys a kind of privileged status among Eternals. Arishem did tell Cersei that some of his creations evolved beyond his control, and Eros and Thanos might be such rogue beings. Now, this movie's co-writer Ryan Firpo revealed that there were actually 9 versions of this post-credit scene that they came up with.
So the post-credit sequences, I can just say we wrote about 9 versions before we settled on what's in the movie. There are some really spicy ones that always change. They just told different stories. They chose different characters, they introduced different ideas, and so a big part of it for us was just, where do we want to go next? And when we finally...
I feel like that happens a lot, though, when it comes to these end credit scenes. I'm sure there's like multiple versions of an end credit scene that they have, and what actually helps to tell the whole story. Not really complete the story, because the story should be completed on its own. They should just kind of add to it and then let you, kind of have a taste of what's to come. But to have 9 different ones and to see that, or we'll hear that some were a little spicier than what we actually got, I kind of want to know what those were now. I wish there was like a director's cut of all of the end credit scenes, ones that were shot different ways, or if they just kind of go, hey, this is what's going to be, and they only shoot that one. That's one thing I'd like to know.
Figured that out, and when the movie was done, that's when we knew, okay, this is the way we're going, and we're going out into the stars.
And this alternate ending would have given us a clearer context of how Eros and Thanos fit into the overall hierarchy of cosmic entities like the Celestials. The brothers were essentially on different paths based on their specific history with Arishem. In fact, we have learned of another deleted scene that the writers revealed a Screen Rant that would have flashed back to a younger Thanos on Titan.
That would have been cool.
Kaz Furpo, the flashback would have explored the past version of Titan revealed in Thanos' Reality Stone vision in Avengers Infinity War and shown its destruction by, quote, radical growth in the universe. And that would have been what sent Thanos on his warpath to erase half of all life. This was probably the Eternal scene that Thanos creator Jim Starlin was referring to when he said that young Thanos would appear in the Eternals film in an interview back.
And that didn't happen.
So this could mean that the planet Titan was seeded with its own sleeping celestial, one that is still buried underneath its surface because the planet has not exploded, but that despite Thanos and Eros' best efforts, environmental collapse caused the planet's intelligent life to die out before the life force could reach a critical mass to trigger its emergence. Eros and Thanos could be Eternals who failed their mission or allowed it to fail and broke free of Arishem's protocol. In the comics, before gathering the Infinity Stones, Thanos augmented his strength and powers through a mix of science.
That wouldn't make sense, though, because if Thanos were an Eternal, then I think they already established that the Eternals couldn't be snapped because they're not living beings. They're technically robots, right? So when Iron Man, Tony Stark, does his snap, if Thanos, no matter what year he's from, 2014 Thanos in that case for Endgame, he gets snapped, nothing would happen to him because he's not a living being. Unless you just say, let me snap it and snap away all of Thanos' people. So I'm sure, yes, I'm sure Tony Stark's version was different. So that would make sense.
It's mysticism and cybernetic enhancements.
I answered my own question.
Like this deleted flashback would have shown Thanos and Eros' attempts to save Titan from extinction, and then failing that, going on to augment their own powers separate from what the Celestials designed them to do. Remember, earlier in the Eternals film, Phastos has an interesting line about the reason Ajax didn't want them to intervene in human conflict was that wars have historically led to advancements in tech, in medicine, in food production that ultimately, in a roundabout way, end up prolonging human life. So maybe on Titan, Thanos and Eros did initially try to intervene in certain ways in their wars, like that Titan versus Kree war that was teased in Loki episode 1. We actually saw the same ships in the background as the ones that we now see crashed on the surface of Titan. And that intervention in the wars caused Titan's population growth to outpace the technological evolution that would be needed to sustain such a society. Now, there are other deleted scenes from Eternals and lines that we know about from the trailers, like those shots of Athena battling soldiers in the Gupta Empire in 400 AD. In the movie, we saw their arrival to India, and of course, Cersei and Icarus' marriage there, but the battle was removed. And interestingly, this is a shot that would have shown that soldier with that star shield, very similar to Captain America's classic design, and these same shield patterns that we see on the set of Kingo's Bollywood film. And we later find out that Kingo's totally obsessed with Captain America because he collects Cap's classic prop shield from the 40s, or at least a replica of it. So I'm still theorizing that Phastos may have been working for Howard Stark during World War II and been the one who hooked him up with that vibranium for the prototype shield that he gave to Cap, and quit only when the US Defense Forces bombed Hiroshima. And that design that he ended up giving to Captain America based off of his suggestions could have at least been influenced partly by Phastos and maybe Kingo. And of course, there are a few other lines you may remember from trailers that were cut from the film.
Eternals assemble. Great line.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
Hell yes. The Avengers, Thor, Spider-Man. But we have Athena.
As well as a shot of Sprite singing karaoke on the jet. Chloe Zhao also revealed that in the original script, there were going to be 12 Eternals, not 10, including the Eternal from the comics named Vampiro, who becomes a pro wrestler with a Batman-esque suit and bat fangs, but he's not actually a vampire. Probably could have afforded to cut a few more of them. Co-writers also told the Hollywood Reporter that they wanted to include more flashbacks to the Eternals' pasts throughout history and would love to potentially explore them further in a prequel series, like Kingo in 1890s Mumbai juggling his life as a movie star, and then later on dealing with Gandhi's peaceful dissolution of the British Empire in India, and then another episode with Athena in Greece, and then another episode that follows the Eternals confronting Ereshkigal and all the Celestials. The writers also revealed in the amazing Ringerverse Eternals Deep Dive podcast, which I totally recommend listening to, they are amazing, that the writers conceived of an additional family of Eternals that were stationed on Earth connected to ancient Egypt and King Arthur.
Maybe a different family of Eternals that's come, and they've also been stationed, and they're going to Egypt.
So they can't do that now.
Hanging out with King Arthur.
Meaning that likely among these writers' early drafts of the script were plans of linking Arthurian legend and Excalibur and the Ebony Blade, as dialogue in this movie clearly points out, which could have given plenty more context to the Black Knight's lineage to the early days of Eternals, which would have explained why Cersei told Dane to make amends with his uncle, who in the comics is Nathan Garrett, the previous Black Knight, not a very good guy. So ultimately, I agree that as a story as huge as Eternals, it could have worked better as like a 6-episode miniseries on Disney Plus, because I would have loved to have seen all these deleted scenes, but there was not room for them in this movie. Structurally, it would have been great to explore each character in their own episode on a show on Disney Plus. But on the other hand, we would miss out on the Celestials' immensity in scale presented on a huge screen, which I suspect is why Chloe Zhao and Kevin Feige wanted to do this as a movie, because Kevin Feige wanted us to wet ourselves when we saw these things. And that just, wouldn't work as well at home, because my couch is already soaked through the bathrooms all the way across the room. I'm not kidding, no. Let me know which of these deleted scenes you would have most preferred to see in the Eternals film. And you can support this channel by checking out our great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I just love seeing that I'm not the only one. Now, someone in the comments did say on the Eternals pitch meeting reaction that what if they had done a TV show that explored these characters more in depth, a little more intimately, and then you still do this movie to a different degree later. So like you do a show that lets you know all about these characters, and then you have the actual film. So we already know these characters from the Disney Plus show, then you bring them into the movie and we're already connected to them. Now it's about the mission or whatnot. However it goes, I feel like you could go about it in a different way. or we just connect to them more. So I like that I've been hearing that pretty consistently. I feel good. But it is cool to see that there are like so many ideas that we don't see on screen, that really we don't know about behind the scenes until a little bit later. 9 different end credit scenes, like in different ways, either different characters involved or whatnot. But to know that there's so many other ways they could have gone with this as far as the end credit scenes is pretty cool. And then also there's a lot of stuff from the trailers that we did not see in the movies. Nothing that I feel like was huge. Well, it would be cool to see some of the deleted scenes, or if there is some kind of director's cut that could come out at some point. I would be up for that. If it does expound on the story or expound on how they tell the story of the characters and what they go through, things of that nature, I may be up for watching it again. If that's the case. In its current state, I'm good. But it's just kind of still cool to hear background on it. New Rockstars always does a good job with their videos. I don't react to them much. Really, this is the first one I've done. I've watched their videos before, but they have great content. So if you're not subscribed to them, check them out, subscribe if you enjoy the content. I like it. I may do more of their stuff. Not their rumor videos, because I don't really like a lot of rumor type videos. Unless you guys want to see that, let me know. But I'm more into the behind the scenes talk of movies. So whether it's deleted scenes or end credit scenes we didn't see, whatever the case, I like that kind of stuff. Or even just behind the scenes of how movies are made and things of that nature. That's the kind of stuff I'm into. So let me know if you want to see more of these, or if you do want to see rumor stuff, let me know. I may check some out, but I won't do that on my own. It's only if you guys ask. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribers, members, watchers, thanks for supporting the channel any way that you do. I really appreciate it. To my hyper crew: Brian Tidwell, Steve O, Slepnir Milner, K6013, Daniel Lopez, Portalo Mobile 44, Kratos, William Cooper, Shane Cook, Richie Chester, and Squall Leonhardt. Thank you guys so much for choosing that top tier crew. I really appreciate it. Check out our most popular videos on the channel and our most recent reaction, or check out some of the creators I've got in the description below. They got some great content. Otherwise, that's all I got for you guys on this one. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.